Friends, in our lives, we often encounter talent in unexpected places. Whether it be a small restaurant that has great food, a YouTube channel with 100 subscribers that makes great videos, or, as we see here, a chess game between two 500 ELO players that was absolutely brilliant. This game was played between a 514 from the United States and a 490 from Egypt. And this game was incredible. It had many highlights, it had blunders, it had great moves, and it even had a brilliant rook sacrifice. You'll just have to wait and see because this game is incredible. White opens the game with e4, black responds e6. The French defense. Very good. White continues with theory and plays d4, but it would not be a 500 ELO game if on move 2, black breaks from theory and plays queen to f6. Queen to f6 is a terrible move. The point of this move is to do the scholar's mate, but you cannot move your bishop here, so the queen is just there. It would have been better to go like queen h4, which at least has a threat of attacking the pawn. It's still not a good move because you can just move your knight and defend this pawn, but it at least had a threat. Queen f6 does literally nothing. Knight f3, white develops very well. You know, he's just moving out his pieces. What can we say? Bishop b4 check. And I mean, this is not how you play chess. You do not give this check here for no reason. Why? c3. Now the bishop just has to move. In fact, the best move of the engine is to go all the way back. No, seriously. It is to go all the way back. But here, instead of c3, white decides, you know what? Let's justify black's terrible move and play bishop d2, which is really bad because now black can trade. The c3 is a tempo-winning move. You kick this bishop out, and you can develop and win some time over your opponent. And time is very important in chess. You need to be ahead of your opponent in order to win games. By doing this, now you can trade. I mean, he can trade, and he can develop, and you don't win the time of the position. But for some reason, black just decides to go back to d6. I mean, why? Like, why even give this check in the first place and help white develop and then go back and not even trade? And also, this wins a bishop. It's a fork. I mean, what? Why? Why did you... Okay. White plays bishop c4. It's not a terrible move. It's not, but I mean, you miss that. Like, you have to look for these moves by thinking, okay, the bishop's here, the queen's here. Can I attack both of them? Yes, I can. Just think about that. 97. Okay, so we blunder the fork again, and we notice that this is how a 490 rated player plays chess. 3 pieces in a cone, blundering a piece on move 5, terrible position, poor development, moving the queen out on the second move. Just not good. Not good. Knight c3. White is missing the move e5, but white is developing, and you know he's doing well. You know, even if it's not perfect, it's still good. Knight c6, and we blunder the fork again, but we are attacking this pawn. Knight, queen, attack. Knight, only knight defense. Maybe go like bishop e3, like assuming you do not see e5. But no, instead we just go g3 and lose the pawn. Incredible. I mean, like, how did you miss that? I don't get it. And now you can't even play e5 because first of all you can take, and second of all you can also take this knight and just win a knight. Just, I mean, why? So knight d4, white takes back, best move, queen d4. Okay, it's been 8 moves, and now black is up 1 point of material and has a small advantage despite playing so badly. This is how you do not play chess. Like, black played terribly, and white just lost the pawn and justified black's entire plan because now there's no fork and black's pieces are actually somewhat developed. I mean, it's not great, but like, why? Like, you could have defended this pawn by moving the pawn and interposing and just forking, but okay, whatever. Bishop e2. Okay, not the best. I would have gone here, queen to e2, defending the bishop, or bishop to d3, like creating this link chain thing. Like, bishop e2 is just a bit too passive, but it's fine. You know, maybe you're going to go here and here. I'm not sure. You are 514. I don't know what you're going to do here. Black castles and white goes bishop d3. I mean, why? Why even go back if you're just going to go to d3? Like, what's the point? Okay, fine. f5. Okay, we're launching a bit of an attack, you know. Not bad. ef5, ef5. Okay, pretty good. Now here, the best move is knight to b5 because you attack the bishop and the queen, and once the queen moves, you can trade the knight for the bishop, which is good. Knight for bishop, good trade. Bishop slightly better than knight. Queen f3. Okay. Queen f3 is not bad. We're putting some pressure on this pawn. We're not attacking it because the knight and the rook defend, but black decides to defend it anyway and kind of weaken their position here because now there's like bishop h6 stuff, and the king is pretty weak because you put all your pawns on light squares. So the dark squares are weak, and this dark squared bishop doesn't do too much to defend it. I mean, it can go back, but like you're letting your opponent start an attack, maybe attack with the h-pawn, you know, create a pawn storm on that side of the board because the king is already there. While this king is not committed itself to this side, it can castle here and start an attack using the kingside pawns. And white does exactly that by castling. Very good. I mean, nothing to complain about here. Castling the king, now you can attack on this side of the board. And black plays f4, which, I mean, I don't really get. Like, I mean, it is defended. Like, you can't really take it because the rook will take. Not the rook, I mean, like, the bishop will take. But if the bishop takes, then the rook takes. And you are threatening f takes g3 here, which takes the pawn and opens an attack on the queen if you do nothing. Apparently, the best move is still knight to b5 because even if there's f takes g3, like you can sack the queen and win the queen, so that doesn't really work. But instead, we go rook f1. I don't really get it. I don't know why, but okay. We put our rook from the closed file to the closed file. Not good. F takes g3. Okay. Now we open this up, we take another pawn, now we're up 2 pawns, and the rook attacks the queen. And considering this is a 500 ELO game, queen takes g3. It took 15 moves. I mean, we had a slightly normal game, but now white loses the queen, and the chaos is about to break loose as black plays knight to f5, attacking the queen, which you could already take, and white goes back. Okay. Now, this is kind of risky because you're lining up the knight with the rook. So at some point, there might be a tactic. Right now, there's none. You're very fortunate for that. And now, black plays bishop takes h2. Now, this move is pretty weird. You win a free pawn, but it's actually not too good because now there's rook h1, and when the bishop moves, you can like maybe get your rook here. I mean, there's knight g3, but like you can like maybe get your queen here and then your rook here, and start attacking down these open files. Like, you have to think about, it's not just a free pawn. Sometimes you open up the file and allow for attacking opportunities. That pawn is not worth it. You had to maybe develop your bishop or defend your king somehow. Like, don't just take it because it's there. You have to think about, what does taking this pawn affect about the position? But b3. b3 is just a nonsensical move. Like, it does nothing. In fact, it opens up this diagonal, and like if the knight moves, like look, if like here and like here, that's literally checkmate. You just get mated. Like, why are you weakening your king? You should be focusing on attacking their weak king, rook h1. That's very good. So b3, and black goes here, losing the bishop. I mean, I don't understand this move at all. Like, there is literally no point to this move. You just take, and like the knight can't even take because he can take the knight. And also, this is checkmate, by the way. Just keep that in mind. That's pinned if you open the file and the rook and queen attack. See, you have to think about that. Remember, when the pawn takes something, things open up and an attack can be made. So bishop g3, and now white plays bishop e4, which I also do not understand at all. Like, why not take the free bishop? Okay, whatever. Queen c5. Again, I just do not understand anything that these players are doing. Like, the bishop is just hanging, and I don't know why they're not noticing it. But now we actually see the idea of bishop e4. Apparently, taking this bishop was not an option, and instead, we had to take a pawn. Okay, fine, we win a pawn. And black goes rook b8. And now, again, there is queen d5 check or bishop d5 check. And we open up an attack on the king. But instead of that, we just take the bishop, rook takes, and now we can take the bishop on g3. That is undisputably the best move. But instead of that, we play a4. a4. Just why? What does that do? Nothing. a4 does not do anything, and black goes rook back to b8 and hangs the bishop again. I mean, I just don't know what they're doing. Like, what? Why? How do you not see the bishop hanging there? So bishop h6. Okay, so instead of taking a free bishop, we instead lose our own bishop. Now, you can take it back, but I mean, like, why? What was the point? To attack the rook? And now, black just goes here. Black goes in the opposite direction of taking the bishop for literally no reason. And I mean, the queen is under attack, but the queen can give a check, trade, and the rook is under attack, and the bishop is under attack. And the best move here is like rook f2, which saves it, but that's like the only move. And we can still like take this or go knight f6 or, you know, something. But instead of that, we go queen takes g3, which is not bad. And now there is rook to f3, which is apparently the best move. I don't really get it. I guess it's to double up. Not really sure. I don't really know why this is the best square for the rook. Rook c8. Okay, so for some reason, we just we move the rook behind the pawn for absolutely no reason at all. And now, in fact, rook d4 is good because there's like rook d1, like it's a sacrifice, but I don't really get it. But instead we play f4. f4 is just like, I mean, what is f4? Like, what is the point of that? Like, are we trying to start an attack? I don't really get it, but like, I mean, we can also get attacked a little bit. I mean, the knight defends, but like, you know, it's not too good. And in this position, black finds an incredible idea. The 490 rated player plays a brilliant move and sacrifices the rook! Rook takes b3! The idea is that if the pawn takes, the knight is pinned to the king. So knight e2 check, and you win the queen! White realizes this and plays f5, trying to attack the king, but now black just takes the knight. That's it. White doesn't know what to do, so white just takes the pawn and loses the queen. Additionally, rook c2. The king is falling. The queen is falling. The game is over. And black puts it away by playing h takes g6 and hanging checkmate in 2. Yes, black just hangs mate in 2. Queen g6, king h8, queen g7. I mean, like, what? Why? You are playing so well. You could have just taken the queen and won the whole game, but you hang mate. Okay, rook d3. I mean, what is the point of rook to d3? Now there's just rook c2, there's knight e2. It's absolutely over. But you know what's the mixture between rook c2 and knight e2? Knight c2. And now it's mate. It's mate again. Same idea as before. Also, you can take the rook. That's just a free rook. But instead of that, we go rook f4 for absolutely no reason at all. And now the only move to claim advantage here is knight e3 check. Because wherever the king goes, there's like mate, like rook c1, king a2, and you can checkmate the king. You can take this rook. You know, you have a big attack on the king. That's the point. But instead of that, we take the rook. Okay, we try to trade rooks. It's mate again. Queen g6, queen g7. But we just take the rook back. And now you can play like knight to b4 here, attacking the queen. And if the queen blocks, you can trade and you'll be up 3 pawns in an endgame, which is always just a winning advantage. Well, at least almost always. But instead we go knight a1 check. Okay, whatever. King d1. But now we go rook f8, which loses the rook. You just lose the rook and you have a big attack. You can also play queen takes g6 and just checkmate the king. But instead of that, we go queen to f3, creating a battery on the rook for absolutely no reason. And now you can go like rook takes f4, trade, and recuperate and just win the game because you have a big advantage. But instead we go queen g1 check. Okay, whatever. The engine likes it. We're attacking. King e2. And now we can go rook f4, we can go queen h2, we can go rook e8. No, we go knight to c2, and now rook takes f8, just wins the game. But instead of that, white decides, let's attack the knight. For absolutely no reason, attacking the knight. I mean, why? Now there are just checks. And now black goes knight d4, attacking the queen and losing the game again because, this is the entire point. You just take the rook with check, you give mate, you win. Queen e3. Queen e3 is exceptional because it undoes the battery on the rook, which she just set up for absolutely no reason. And also, queen takes, king takes, and you can now trade the rook and you're just up 3 pawns and you're totally winning. But instead of that, black gives check, which is fine, king d3. And now you kind of have to save your knight. You got to go knight f5 here, attacking the queen, attacking the bishop, and safeguarding your rook. But we don't see it. We go queen c2, and now we hang our knight. And the position is pretty weird because now it's equal. We have 3 pawns for a bishop. Now the best move here is c5 check. It's very weird, but this is good because if you go like king d5, if you go king e5, you blunder this and you lose your queen. But if you go king to d5, you have queen d1 check, and you can't go here. So if the king takes here, now the rook gets into the game. Not there. The rook goes here, and like you have a pretty big attack on the king. Like not there, but like rook b8, and you just keep giving checks, and at some point you're gonna win the game. But instead, we take the pawn with check. Okay, fine. King e5. And now white steps into a skewer, loses the queen. Just incredible. Like, you just lose your queen, and now black plays c5 for some reason. Like, he could have played c5 here with a check, but instead we do not give a check, and now we hang rook f8, which is just completely winning. Also, we hang rook a4, which wins a queen. So the rook can dig both ways, and it takes neither. White goes queen to f3, resetting up the battery for no reason at all. Now the only move here is queen to a1 check, and like king here, queen a2. It's pretty weird. But instead we go queen to a5. We save our queen, and I guess we set up a check, but it's too late as the rook can take the rook. But instead of that, the rook goes to f6 for absolutely no reason at all. And now you can play queen a1 again, and the king has to move away, and you win the rook. You just win like that. But instead of that, queen c7. Okay, we are still -6, king d5, and now we push our pawn and we hang the rook again. I mean, what are we doing? Why are we trying to queen the pawn in such a situation? It's just mate, like here, here, and actually the fastest way to do it is to sack your rook and give mate like this, but regardless, you have checks, you can win the game. Queen f1. So, queen f1, again here, like there's actually a really brilliant move, queen c6 check. If rook takes, you take the rook with check, and you take the queen. That's a really nice idea, and if the king moves, you just take the rook. But queen f1, I guess, is trying to attack this pawn, because yes, even though you can take a free rook and win the game, you should attack a pawn. Just go for a random pawn, and black decides to also focus on the random pawn and play pawn to c3. For absolutely no reason at all. The pawn just marches down the board aimlessly while like the whole castle is burning down over here. And white just moves the king. White is trying to chase down a pawn with the king, and like the pawn is in front. Like if you just keep chasing it down, you're just not gonna win that race. And black indeed pushes it forward. And now again, you can take this and just win the game. And white finally takes the rook with the bishop, and which is not the best move. But still, even if you queen here, there's rook g6. The bishop is defended, and wherever the king moves, you give check. Not there. You give check, and you mate the king. So it's still totally winning. And here, black makes it even more totally winning by losing the queen in one move. Black gives a check and hangs the queen. And white goes here with the king. Okay, whatever. And now black plays a5 for absolutely no reason at all. Losing the queen again. Also, I mean, not losing the queen again. And by the way, just to be clear, don't do this because that's a big blunder. You forget that the queen can take. The queen is on the same line, so you can't do that in between move with the check. But that doesn't even matter as white goes here. Pretty good. I mean, it's not the best. You could have just won the queen, but you're setting this up. You're still gonna win the game. Queen b2 check, king d6, and now we see the idea: black queens. But unfortunately, as I said, it is just checkmate. You have mate, just there. That's mate. But instead of that, white plays an incredible move. Like this move, I cannot even explain. White goes queen to f5, which by the way loses the queen. You also have like checks, and you can just win the game by mate. But here, black goes queen to c2 and tries to trade the queens, but forgets rook g6. You can't take with the queen because it's on the same line, but you can take with the rook, and as I said 100 times already, deliver mate. I mean, mate has just been there for like the past 20 moves, but white takes with the queen, and now that's it. Okay. Now it is completely lost because, I mean, white has a rook and bishop, but black just has 2 pawns, and the rook is under attack, and you just can't stop black here. Rook e6. So white makes it even easier for black to win the game, and black just takes the rook, and that's it. King d7, and I mean, queen b8 is outrageous. I don't really get it, but black sobers up, pushes the pawn, makes a queen, and that's it. Black has played, played a pretty brilliant game, like, sure, there are a lot of blunders, and he missed mate 20 times, but he made 2 queens, he had a brilliant rook sack, and you got to hear me scream the rook and do my own Gotham impression, and, we had a good time. So black proceeds to cut off the king, give a check, and deliver mate. Yeah, he actually mated the king. Now, I know y'all were probably expecting me to build up to some kind of stalemate, but surprisingly enough, as I said, as the title said, this was a relatively brilliant game. I mean, like, the fact that black actually finished it is kind of incredible considering the quality of the rest of the game. So, it's brilliant in its own special, blunder, brilliant way, if you get what I mean. And by the way, the accuracy of this game was around 7% accuracy for white and around 11% accuracy for black. It's just brilliant. And everything in this game was just like incredible in its own little special way. But that's about it. Peace out.